Assalamu alaikum everyone, my name's Farah Halabi and I'm a professional Muslimah life coach, and I'd like to ask you, are you hard on yourself? Are you quite judgmental about yourself? Are you quite or discompassionate? I think that's the word, or is it uncompassionate? I'm not sure. But are you a little bit lacking in compassion, mercy, understanding for yourself? Are you always in competition with this ideal of where you're supposed to be? Are you constantly striving, which isn't a bad thing, but are your expectations of yourself realistic? And what are they based on? Where is it that you feel you need to get to? What is it that you feel you need to just get? Because as human beings, we know a lot of stuff. We know we have common sense, we have knowledge, we have understanding, and we know what to do. But when we don't do what we know what to do, when we don't do what we think we are supposed to do, when we place our expectations or place their expectations on ourselves, but pop them a bit higher than we would maybe on other people, where does that leave us? Why do we do that? And specifically, if you are a Muslim woman who is very ambitious, who has a lot of expectation on yourself in your professional field, you might have a lot of expectation in your social arena, in where you want to go, who you want to be with, what kind of things you want to do within your community. You might have very high expectations of what you would like to achieve, what you would like to contribute, what you would like to give within your family, what kind of, if you're a mum, what kind of mum you want to be, what kind of children you want to have, what kind of home you want to have. You may have very, very high expectations on what it takes for you, or what is expected of you in those arenas of your life to make them reach or fulfill the standards or the expectations that you have. And have you ever asked yourself why? Why do you have those expectations? And when I talk about expectations, I'm not talking about standards, because a lot of people do get them confused. It's like to have low expectations or no expectations. Sorry, no expectations means no standards. Not true. The expectations, if you think of what the word expectation means, what you expect of yourself, what you expect of others, it's a thought. It's what you think should happen. It's an assumption as well. You're assuming that things should be that way or shouldn't be that way. But it comes down to, it comes from you. There's no one rule for everyone. There's no concrete kind of rules for how you live your life, or what you expect of yourself, or what you think you should do, what you believe others should do. That's being created by you all the time. So where did your expectations come from? Where did your expectations for yourself come from? And have you ever questioned why? Now, all the while, your life is ticking along nicely as you'd expect. Based on those expectations, you may never even have to ask yourself that question. But it's when things aren't going the way that you expected, or when you're not operating in a way that is not expected, but you're the one that created those expectations in the first place. It's almost like you're trying to play this game where you're losing, or you're kind of, 5-0 down, but not too sure why. Because you created the game, you created the rules, but you're still kind of a bit behind. Who are you trying to catch up to? Who are you playing against? So I'll ask you, when things aren't going your way, or when you feel that you aren't showing up, operating, being who you expect yourself to be, ask yourself, where did that come from? Where did that expectation, how was that created in the first place? And if you're not, achieving those expectations, then why? How did you create the expectations? Why did you create them? What was the end goal? What was the aim? Who are you competing against? What are you doing this for? I know there's lots more questions than there are answers, but it's in those answers that you will find the solutions to, if you struggle with burnout, if you struggle with stress, anxiety, guilt for not being where you think you should be. Guilty to who? Like, who's suffering here? And if we look at really what our purpose is and how we can live a life to fulfill that purpose, as Muslims, we believe we're here to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you've watched any of the other videos of mine, you will know that everything can be turned into an act of ibadah, into an act of worship. If you do anything in this life that you believe is pleasing to Allah for the sake of pleasing Him, act of worship, you can turn your job, your kids, your home, cleaning, anything into an act of ibadah. If you're doing so to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you are using the gifts that He gave you in the best way that you can turn anything into it. So when you're burning yourself out, trying to do 1,000,001 things, generally I'd say burnout, actually no, because you can be burnt out in any area of your life. You could be burnt out, running around, chasing your tail, trying to be that perfect parent. You could give yourself burnout from doing everything for everyone else and not recharging your batteries, not doing anything for you. For the sake of what? Pleasing people? For people to be pleased with you? Okay, it's nice. People say thank you. People think you're a lovely person. I'm done, lovely. But if you think of what that pleasing that person does, it's a very, very minimal return on your investment. Someone says, thanks very much, ta love, and you've just exhausted yourself doing whatever it is to elicit a thank you from someone, as lovely as that is. SubhanAllah, what if you exhausted yourself in the endeavours of pleasing Allah, and He actually doesn't require you to exhaust yourself. He doesn't ask you to metaphorically kill yourself. He asks you to strive, absolutely, but not to the level of burning yourself out. And the thank you, if you like, or the return on that investment is going to be infinitely more than a lip service thank you. The blessings and the rewards for striving to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, well, what do you think they'll be? So I'll ask you again, why? Or where? Where did those expectations that you've placed on yourself come from? Why are you doing all of this? Why are you burning yourself out? Why are you feeling guilty? Why are you feeling frustrated, angry, exhausted, hard done by? Because you are turning yourself inside out to please others, to get to a standard of what? When will it be enough? When will you be able to turn around and look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm okay, done everything I wanted to do. Enough is enough, in a good way. Or are you striving just to get there, but there seems to get further and further away? How would you know if you'd got there? How would you know if you'd done enough? How would you know if you'd achieved those expectations? What would that feel like? Again, more questions than answers, but I'll ask you to reflect upon it. If your life right now seems like a bit of a whirlwind, a bit of a tornado, like just here, there and everywhere, trying to get there. Just take a moment and ask yourself, where is there? Who decided where there is? And who decided on these rules or expectations in the first place? And if the answer is you, I'd say, I bet my hijab it is you, where did you get that memo? Where did you get the idea that that's where you've got to be? And what would it be like for you to create realistic, serving now expectations in a way that you don't have that burnout, you don't have that guilt, you don't have that exhaustion, and you actually have the opposite. You have a recharging, an energizing, a refreshing, an exciting, a curious, a certainty that the endeavours that you're going to be pursuing are pleasing to Allah. So whatever happens, it's all good. How would that be? I'll leave you to ponder on that. I pray, as always, that you are safe, well, happy and healthy, and inshallah I'll pop on again for another little coffee. But for now, take care. Assalamu alaikum.